Okay, counsel, we are outside of the presence of the jury. Are we ready to bring them in?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
All right.
Please be seated.
All right, the record will reflect the jury is back, appropriately seated in the jury box, and Detective, I remind you, you remain under oath at this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kessel?
Your Honor, this time I'm going to play a 6-minute portion of this video again. No, you're good.
Look at him. I'm definitely not going out talking to these detectives. Because there's no doubt about it. You had something to do with this. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care. I believe there's a lot of things going on. I believe Jeremy's a manipulative person who's taught you and pushed you to something. And maybe there's something, maybe Tyrone wasn't the greatest dad in the world. And there's some concerns with your child's safety. But I'm telling you, I see girls get pushed into situations they wouldn't normally do. And there's no doubt about it, you are a pawn here. You're the most important thing I care about right now because you know what? You matter to your son. And that matters. You didn't do this, but you got to get out in front of this. Because there's some of the things right now that I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you everything. This part, I know that he's in custody. He's been in custody. I want to believe you're 100% clear of this. I don't know what's going on in Georgia. I don't care about Georgia. I care about you and I care about Michigan. I care about Chunk. But I'm telling you right now, he's wrapped you up in this. He's brought you down to something that you don't deserve to be part of. Not for a second. And I'm willing to say that. Without a doubt, I know you don't belong in this. You're not part of this. But what happens, we get involved in situations and we get a manipulative person. We don't see things clearly. You know what I really believe is all he covered you up with, all he brainwashed you with, isn't true. It isn't going to be rosy on the other side. He's not the guy that's going to be out there helping you. He's the guy that's going to turn on you. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to give him that opportunity. What I don't want to do is I don't want to go and talk to these detectives and tell them, you failed the test. Happens, they say, well, of course she's going to be honest. I don't want to tell them that. I want you to know she was honest with me. We were still working it out when she was honest with me and told me what was going on. But you got to get out in front of this. My hand is out for you right now. For only reason, I just met you today. But I'm telling you, I've been doing this 24 years. And I pick people off all the time. Good people, bad people. I'm telling you, what I see in you is a good person. You're not a manipulative person. You're not the person driving this. Now, you may have run along with it without a doubt. And there's no doubt about it, you did. But what I'm saying is, you are not driving this. You are not the one pulling the trigger. You need to get out front of this for your son. Because you have a future. Without a doubt you are, but don't let him put you underneath the bus, because that's where it's going right now. Because this isn't something you planned. This guy got into you, he got into your head, you guys are working together, he's playing you, and I don't mean it in a bad way. We all get played. We've all been in that situation because we have problems in a relationship. You're going through the hormone thing, whether you know it or not, after having a baby. That 1 year thing is a big time, where you're going up and down. You know what I'm talking more than I do. I remember my wife went through. She was fluctuating. We had some hard times, because she was having problems with me, and I wasn't doing anything. But you know what? That's not your fault. But getting out in front of it is what you got to do now. Because how we handle this from this thing forward is huge. My dad always said, you know what, Andy, it isn't what we do. It's not what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. And what you do today, what you do this minute is going to be a huge thing. Because I don't want those guys to wrap it up around you. You don't deserve to be in this circle at all. Unfortunately, you were taken advantage of. And you were by a person who is a manipulator. The guy's cold-blooded, all right? To do what he did was cold-blooded. And he did it because, you know what? Next, he wants to be able to control you. He's going to have you to himself. But there's no doubt about it. You talked about it in your plan because you blow it up bigger than anything. You guys talked about it, but I don't believe it's the girl I'm talking to right now. And I want to be able to say that. You know, you hear about co-signing a loan when they say that. You know, you read a loan co-sign for it when you got your house, did you have to sign with you? Did your mom put it in?
No, it's just me and my husband.
You know what? But you know what co-signing means, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to put my name on with you. And I'm telling you, when I take and do this today, I'm gonna have to make a report of somewhere along the line. Somewhere when we're done, when I get you through this, then I'm gonna make a report that's positive. Because when I say, hey, I'm going to come alongside you and say, listen, this is the person I'm dealing with. You're a person like my uncle. You're a person that, you know what, there's some outside circumstances here that pushed you to a level that you would never have been to. And now with all the stresses and everything that was going on in your life, there's no way this would happen. And I believe that without a doubt. And if that's what it is, that's somebody I can work with. Because you're not somebody I got to worry about. You're not somebody that I'm scared of. I wouldn't be scared to have you here in Michigan the rest of your life.
Detective Chris. Oh, no, I don't. Thank you. Now, Detective, you'd been speaking with, turn it off. You've been speaking with Ms. Hassel for, you said about an hour and a quarter before this portion of the video, is that correct?
That's correct.
You interviewed her a first time, that was that hour and a quarter, and then you came back and started talking to her again, correct?
That's fair, yes.
And you indicated your training, you've been through years of training, is that correct?
That'd be a fair statement, yes.
Hundreds, maybe thousands of hours doing, learning how to interview people, is that correct?
I'd say hundreds of hours, maybe.
Hundreds of them. And I think you indicated that you actually also teach some of the seminars, give some of the lectures, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so, would it be fair to say that perhaps you are considered, one of the best if you're sought out by, who hires you to give these lectures and give these seminars?
I work some for the Prosecutors Association. I've taught there. I've taught at different places, mostly police academies.
And so different law enforcement agencies, and is it PAMS, the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan?
Yes, sir.
They hire you from all over the state because, understandably, you've been doing this a long time. You're very good at interviewing people, correct?
I would say I'm okay, yes.
It's very modest of you. One of the things that you said that you do is you want to build a rapport with the subject of the interview, is that correct?
That is correct.
Why is that important?
It's important in every interview. If you're interviewing a victim, sometimes you get them to open up with what really happened to them. A witness, sometimes we deal in situations where witnesses don't actually trust the police, and so you have to develop a little bit of rapport to get them to trust you. And definitely when you're dealing with someone that may have done something wrong, you have to lower their anxiety in that room.
And you took the words, what would have been out of my mouth. You want the person who's there to trust you, correct?
I don't know what trust, just I have to have them talk. They understand that I'm a human being also.
Sure, but a moment ago you said to the jury, you said it's important for them to trust you, correct?
I think lower their anxiety. I don't know what I say, trust. That's fair if I say that. That's a fine word.
And one of the things that you're allowed to do when you're interviewing someone is you're allowed to make things up, is that right?
That is correct.
You're allowed to lie to a subject to see what they will say in response to your lie, is that right?
That is correct.
And so when these people trust you, when you build this rapport, you want them to believe whatever it is that's coming out of your mouth, correct?
Yes.
So for example, let me take a step back. So when you float these, you said you float theories to subjects of interviews, is that right?
Theories?
Sure, in your direct exam before we watched the video, you said you float these theories or these themes to people because you want them to kind of grab a hold of something. You think it makes it easier for them to tell you if they have a reason to blame or something to blame. Is that right?
Absolutely. It gives them a way to rationalize the behavior they did.
And in the video that we watched, isn't it true, you're actually the first person who brings up money in the interview that we watched, is that right?
I'm not sure if I'm the first or not, but I knew about it, yes.
Let me ask you this, when you say you knew about it, you said you were given very scant details about the investigation before this interview, is that right?
That is correct.
All right. You were told that there was a shooting, presumably, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. That there was some sort of love triangle, there was some sort of third person, is that right?
There's a third person involved, correct?
That people are from out of state, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. That, you said that everyone's in the military, is that right?
That is correct.
All right. You were given the name Jeremy Cuellar?
Yes, I knew Jeremy. I didn't know the name of the last time. At the time, I didn't know it. I called him Jeremy.
Sure. Obviously, you knew Miss Hassel, is that right?
That is correct.
You're given the name Tyrone Hassel?
That is correct.
And when you start floating the theories that you're floating in that video, you talked about Tyrone not being a good husband, is that right?
Yes, I did.
That's something that you brought up, correct?
Absolutely.
And it's only after you brought it up that Kemia started talking about him not being a good husband, is that correct?
I think she actually said he wasn't the worst husband. We came to that conclusion.
Sure. But it was your theory, it was the thing that you floated, that was you said, well, maybe he's not giving you the love and the attention that you need at home, correct?
That is correct.
And it's only after you floated that theory that she started parroting what you had said, right?
That's a fair statement.
You indicated a number of times, and I sort of lost track at 10, but you say you got to get out in front of this. Do you recall hearing yourself say that?
Yes, I did.
All right. You said it, sometimes you got to get out in front of it for your son, correct?
That is correct.
You said you got to get out in front of it because Jeremy is going to throw you under the bus. Do you remember saying that?
I believe I did, yes.
You actually said that Jeremy was in custody at one point and that he was talking. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know now that, well, let me ask this a better way. You had no idea if Jeremy was in custody, did you?
I don't recall if I knew that or not, or if I just said that. Either way.
And you had no idea whether or not he was making statements while in custody about Kemia and her involvement, correct?
Well, I believe he made statements. That's how we ended up there to start with.
While he was in custody, you have no idea if he was making any statements about her.
Yes, I have no idea.
Okay. And so when you're telling her that he's in custody and he's going to throw her under the bus and she's got to get out in front of this, you're hoping that she will trust you and think that, wow, this guy's right, I better say something. Isn't that true?
Yeah, fair statement.
And when you say you got to get out in front of this, the implication is that if she doesn't get out in front of this, if she doesn't tell you what you're asking her to hear, something bad is going to happen, correct?
She may be blamed for more than what she did. I didn't know where she was at the time.
Sure. But so the answer to my question is, if she doesn't get out in front of this and tell you what you want to hear, something potentially bad could happen. Isn't that right?
If she doesn't tell me the truth, what's going on, yes.
Well, the truth, what you think is the truth, but you don't know what the truth is, correct?
No, I have to take someone's word for it.
Okay. And when you say you want the truth, and then you say, well, maybe he wasn't a good husband, and then she says, oh, well, you're right, he wasn't the best husband, you don't know if that's the truth or if that's her parroting what you've floated out there.
Yeah, she may be going along with that theme. That's possible.
And when you say that you want to co-sign her loan, okay, what are you trying to get across to her at that point?
What I'm telling her is I want to be able to tell her side of the story. At the point when I say that, I don't know how deep she's into this. She very well could be more of a victim witness than really a suspect. I don't know at this point.
And at that point, what you're trying to get across to her is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've kind of got her back. Is that fair?
That's a fair statement. If she's not a guilty party, I don't want her something to happen to her, that's for sure.
Well, Detective, it's Detective, right?
Sure.
Thank you. Detective, your co-signing the loan statement, that came after you'd already decided that you didn't believe her, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So when you say you weren't sure if she was a victim or if she was a witness, in your head you'd already decided that she was a defendant or was going to be a defendant.
I believe she wasn't being honest with me, is what I can tell you.
And so when you say you'll co-sign the loan and you've got her back, this is again you just trying to get her to trust you so that she will give you what you want. Is that fair?
No, she'll give me her involvement or what her involvement was. I believe she wasn't truthful, so I'm telling her she needs to get her portion of what she did out front.
And get it out in front so that what?
Well, it's been my experience in 25 years, usually a person that cooperates with law enforcement, somebody has worked with or looked favorably upon, and somebody else usually isn't.
Well, sir, let me ask you this. You said that you were going to go to bat for her, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And you're here testifying against her in a first-degree murder trial, correct?
That is correct.
Have you taken any affirmative steps to go to bat for her?
Well, I do feel that it changed a lot. When I said I was going to go to bat for her, I didn't realize the amount that she was involved in this. I was more shocked than I have been in a long time.
Well, let me ask you this. After you said you'd go to bat for her, did you talk to the prosecutor about some sort of deal?
I don't make deals. That's not my
I'm
job.
going to object, Your Honor. That has nothing to do, there's nothing mentioned in there about an interview or plea bargain or anything like that. Anything that happens subsequent to the interview with the prosecutor, that's not his
It's
involvement.
been asked and answered. I'm going to let you go on from here.
Thank you. And my question is, have you taken any affirmative steps to help Kemia Hassel in any way since this interview has been concluded?
An objection, that's again, not really relevant, Your Honor. What's relevant was played on there in the state of minds of ever while the interview was going on, but what his affirmative steps are afterwards, is not relevant.
I think he already indicated he had not. I'll let you go on from there,
Thank you, Judge.
counsel.
When you start invoking the name Chunk, who's Chunk?
That was her son.
And you're invoking his name because this is, again, you're trying to build this bond with her, is that right?
I'm playing what's important to her. I believe that's important to her, and I think it is important.
And when you're using his name, let me take a step back for a second. You said Jeremy was a manipulator, correct?
I made that was a theme that I used, yes.
And you said it repeatedly, is that right?
Yes, I did.
All right. But it's fair to say that you're doing your own version of manipulating during this interview too, is that right?
Well, I'm trying to make her feel comfortable and give her an option or a way to explain something that she may have been involved in, yes.
So yes is the answer to the question. You are also being a manipulator in this situation, correct?
I guess that's a fair statement, yes.
What time was this video shot? Do you recall? What time on the interview?
I believe the numbers are accurate.
So at least the portion that I played started at about 2:30 in the morning, is that right?
That's correct.
And you'd already, as I said, so if you'd been asking her questions, she got there at about 1-ish in the morning, is that right?
I think they got there about midnight. I think it was shortly after midnight. I'm not sure.
In any event, you start, this second part of the interview, you start questioning her at 2:30, and that lasts for about another 45 minutes to an hour as well, is that right?
That's a fair statement.
And Detective, in that video, and obviously it's not up now, but in that video is also a desk with a computer on it, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when you conducted the first part of the interview, if you recall, you were seated behind the desk, is that correct?
No, I would be in the same location, just off screen.
Let me ask you this. In the video, you're seated fairly close. I'm looking at it like it's there. In the video, you are seated fairly closely to my client. Is that right?
In that video, Sal, yes.
Yes, okay. Is that where you were sitting during the first part of the interview?
About 6 inches back is where I'm sitting.
You
Right.
closed that gap because you want to create an environment of intimacy. Is that fair?
No,
No?
that's not fair. There would be a, do you want me to explain?
No, it's okay. You said that Jeremy had brainwashed her into thinking that he cared about her when he didn't. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You're doing a version of that as well, though, aren't you?
Brainwashing?
Sure.
No, I wouldn't think so. I'm talking over a course of time. Any manipulator, it's just a theme that I'm trying to make her feel like she's more of a victim than what she is.
And again, in a sense, you're trying to manipulate her into thinking, oh, I didn't do anything wrong, and I can just explain everything, including the idea that you've parroted back, you've given to her. Is that fair?
That's a fair statement.
And there are a number of details you said about this homicide that had to come from somebody who was involved. Is that correct?
I would say so.
Sure. You don't know if some of those details were told to her after the shooting, do you?
I do not.
So, for example, somebody who came in who knew Jeremy Cuellar and was able to talk about the specific details of a homicide, that doesn't necessarily mean he or she was involved. Is that correct?
Could you repeat, sir? I'm sorry.
You said that one of the things that you looked for in determining if you thought Kemia was involved is she was able to give details of the homicide. Is that correct?
Details of that night, yes.
And it's fair to say that she could have been able to tell you those details because there's something that she was involved in personally, or there are certain things involved in the homicide that she could have been told about later. Is that correct?
I'm going to object to that, Your Honor, in terms of what she was involved with personally or something she could have been told about later. It causes him to speculate about what she could have told about later, and there's no evidence, nothing in evidence to indicate she found out anything later from anybody else.
I'm going to sustain your objection, but you can ask a different question.
Let me rephrase that. Are you able to tell if Ms. Hassel told you details of this homicide because she knew about them and was involved, or if she was told about them later? Are you able to know the difference if she gives you a set of details?
I guess I'm not clear. The facts she gave me, yes, she could have heard some of those facts after the fact. That's correct.
Just a moment, please, Judge. Sorry, Judge, just one more second. Detective, at one point during the video, Kemia told you that she had spoken about this with with Jeremy, and she said she didn't think he would actually do it. Do you remember that?
I believe early on she thought she was just talking.
And you corrected her then at that point. So what she told you, when she told you that she didn't think he would go along with it, you told her that couldn't be true. Is that right?
That's correct, because he was out there that night.
Well, let me ask you this, Detective. I'm not going to ask that question. I have nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
Detective Longuski, is there a difference between correcting her and confronting her with the truth?
Yes, there is.
Did you confront her at times and said, look, Kemia, you got to be honest with me, you're not being honest with me?
That is correct.
She wanted to come talk to you, correct?
That is correct.
Did she appear capable of responding to your questions and understanding your questions with no issues at all?
Yeah, she's very well spoken.
Did she appear tired and overly exhausted where she couldn't understand you?
No, she did not.
And it was her wish to talk to you.
Yes, it was.
You explained to her that it was voluntary.
Yes, I did.
You told her actually up front, early on, there's no doubt you planned this.
That is correct.
Right up front in the beginning.
Yes,
In the first 6 minutes, correct?
that is correct.
Okay. But then you said, defense asked you about, let me ask you this. You said you were closer, it was about maybe a 6-inch difference.
That is correct.
And you indicated you want to know why. I would like to know why.
Well, in proximity, when my chair is round at the end. I sit at the end of the table when I'm writing because I write on the end of the table. When I come back in the room, when I confront somebody, I'm no longer writing at that point. So I leaned into the person. So when you do that, it's about 6 inches. That's why I show up on camera.
Okay, so you're sitting in the same chair the whole time.
Yes,
So the first time you're writing, and then when you're done writing, is it just more naturally to lean forward, or?
yeah, I'm leaning forward, talking to the person. So what happens is I lean forward, the camera's here, I come into the camera screen.
Defense mentioned the word parroting. Parroting is where you say the exact same thing back and forth. Maybe that's how I understood what he was meaning. Does that sound what you were understanding?
That's what I was saying. That's-
Okay. Were there times that she was parroting you, or did she go above and beyond what you had suggested or said?
Yeah, she gave me further information.
Did you have any idea about the sister? Was that any type of parroting whatsoever?
No, that was a complete surprise to me.
Did that appear to be a big motivation to her to get this done that day?
Yes, it did.
You asked her how many times to be upfront and honest with you? You know?
I'm not sure.
More than once?
I'm guessing more than once.
Did you tell her you need to be 100% truthful with me?
Yes, I did.
Did she admit previously that, okay, I lied, I wasn't being 100% truthful previously?
Yes, she did.
Defense counsel asked about going to bat for her. And you indicated that if you're being manipulated in this thing, I can go to bat for you. That was your quote, right?
Okay, yes, sir.
Similar to that?
Very close, yes.
If you were being manipulated.
That's correct.
Over the course of interviewing, the evidence that you learned of, did you still feel the need to go to bat based on her level of manipulation or involvement in this plan?
No, I did not.
Nothing further.
Just 1 second, please. Nothing else, Judge, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may
Excused?
step down. May the witness be excused, counsel.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Mr. Mabel, approach, and myself.
Yes. But we have two, I'm told, extremely brief witnesses who have traveled to be here, so we are going to continue with two extremely brief witnesses.
Your Honor, people call Elisha Barney.
Good evening. If you'd approach the podium, raise your right hand for the judge, please.
Oh, hi.
Do you hereby solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, this you do under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, have a seat.
Ma'am, if you would, state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Say my whole entire name?
Yes, please.
Like even middle name?
Sure.
Okay. Elisha Barney. Or
Ms. Barney, can you spell your last name for the record, please?
Barney.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Barney. Do you work at Walmart?
Yes, I do.
At what location?
Now I work over in the mod team.
In what city is that Walmart located?
Been in Harbor, Michigan.
Do you know the address of it?
1400 Mall Drive.
Did you work there on New Year's Eve 2018?
Yes, I did.
After that date, did you speak with law enforcement officers about a sale of ammunition that you made that night?
Yes. I was kind of confused and I was like, hi.
Miss, does Walmart there in Benton Harbor have surveillance video, security cameras?
Yes, we do. We have cameras pretty much just about everywhere.
Your Honor, permission to approach Ms. Barney. I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 100. Will you take a look at that? Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Is that you in that picture?
Yes, it is.
Is that a fair and accurate still photo from the surveillance camera at Walmart from New Year's Eve?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I move to admit People's 100 into evidence.
No objection.
100 is admitted.
I have no more questions, Your Honor.
I have no questions for Ms. Barney.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're
You may step down. May the witness be excused.
Yes, Judge.
All right, you are excused. You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, can I just show them while we're getting the next witness? Because it'll take me longer to set this up, but I'm sure they don't want to wait. The jury.
Certainly.
Sorry.
When you say show them, you mean
People's
exhibit
Exhibit
number
100.
100?
And Your Honor, the people are calling Timothy Coolidge.
Anybody needs to see it?
Good evening. If you'd approach the podium, raise your right hand for the judge, please.
Do you hereby solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, this you do under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do. Sir, if you would, state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Timothy Coolidge, Coolidge.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you, sir?
Thank you. How are you employed?
I am employed by the Michigan State Police.
What's your rank?
I'm a detective sergeant.
Sir, how long have you been with the Michigan State Police?
29 and a half years.
What's your current assignment?
I am the central coordinator for our hometown security teams, which are our criminal interdiction, criminal patrol teams. I also am the coordinator for our license plate readers.
How long have you worked in that capacity?
Since, well, license plate readers the last year or so prior, but with 2006 with the rest of my job duties.
Sir, can you tell the jury a little bit about license plate reader technology?
I can.
Maybe not the technology, but how they work in the state of Michigan and what you're able to do?
Yes, so license plate readers use an infrared camera, and they're strategically placed throughout the state of Michigan. And the infrared camera takes an image of a license plate, and then that is the data from that is transmitted via cellular technology to a server where it's stored.
Sir, was your agency contacted to run a report on a Georgia license plate CJU 5018 on January 11th of 2019 this year?
Yes, we were.
Let me ask you this. How many locations in Berrien County along I-94 have plate readers?
One.
And when you run the report, yeah, push the witness, Your Honor. Sir, handing you People's 99. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Sir, what is that?
This is a screenshot from Sergeant Patino's laptop computer where he pulled up the Vigilant system, which is our LPR system that received this detection.
And what date did does that document show what date it was run?
Which date it was run or was captured?
Both, sir, I don't know.
So the date that it was run is not indicated on here, which was January 11th. However, the plate was detected on December 31st of 2018.
Very good, sir. And for which license plate is it?
It's for Georgia registration plate, C. Charles J. John U. Union 5018.
How many times did that license plate hit?
Once.
And that's a copy of that report?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit People's 99.
No objection.
99 is admitted.
Sir, I'm handing you 99 one more time. Is the portion of that exhibit appear to be something like Google Maps? A map?
Yes, the top portion has a map.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Sir, handing you what's been marked as People's 138. Can you just take a look at that? Sir, what is that you're holding?
It's a picture, or it's a screenshot of a Google map of the Benton Harbor, St. Joe area on I-94.
Sir, would you agree with me that on People's 99, the map portion that is important to that report is a little small and focused?
Yes.
Can you tell me what mile marker that exit is that's capturing the license plate that you mentioned?
Mile marker 28.
Is that same mile marker located on the map that you're holding in front of you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, permission to approach?
Yes.
So are you able to tell by looking at People's 99 which direction the vehicle was traveling when it was picked up on the plate reader?
Yes, it was traveling westbound.
Is that plate reader on westbound 94 located east or west of Scottdale Road?
Just east of Scottsdale Road.
Pointing west?
Pointing west, yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I have a second?
Yes.
questions, Your Honor.
Just very briefly. True, the camera captures data of all the, presumably is all the license plates that are going in that direction, is that correct?
That is correct.
And again, I apologize, I was taking a note. When you were asked to get this data, were you given a window of time that you were supposed to examine?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and again, I'm sorry, what was that window?
December 28th through January 1st of 2019.
And this was the one instance that you captured, that this license plate was captured, is that right?
That is correct.
Nothing else, Judge, thank you.
Your Honor, I ask that this witness be excused.
All right. You may step down and no objection may be excused.
No objection, Judge.
Okay, looks like that is it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna send you home as I did last night with the instruction that you can't read anything, watch anything, not on TV, internet, not listen to anything on the radio. Family and friends are gonna wanna know what you're doing. You can tell them you have to come back. You can't tell them anything else about this case. Again, don't talk to anyone about the case or let any person talk to you or even about the case in your presence. And ask that you return tomorrow at 8:45, report directly to the jury room. Again, use only the restrooms provided therein. And once again, you can talk when you're together about anything you want except for this case. Have a nice evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
All
Thank
rise,
you.
please.
All right, we are outside the presence of the jury. You can be seated. Counsel, do you have anything further?
No, Judge, nothing for Ms. Hassel.
And Mr. Frangeli?
Oh, I'm sorry, I said nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, did not hear you. I'm sorry. I
apologize.
just want to point out for the record that through the course of the detective's testimony, he did indicate that he teaches recruits other police agencies and often for the PAM, Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan. He also observes interviews. And in the course of those particular duties with the Michigan State Police, once again, he could be involved in different aspects of testing in one manner or another. And I just point that out for the record because of what occurred earlier. I'm not going to go through an exhaustive list of different kind of testing that the state police could do, but I did want to point that out because it was part of his testimony that stood out to me. Counsel, if you have a minute, I'll see you afterwards, and we are on.
Thank you, Judge.